Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast, the podcast for real estate agents absolutely everywhere. I'm Lisa B, and during this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything real estate. What's working, what's not working, AI, automation, technology, EXP Realty, and absolutely everything to do with real estate. I'll have guest speakers as well, where we'll answer your questions from the Facebook group, Let's Talk About Real Estate. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, make sure you do that now, and we'd be happy to help answering any question. And again, welcome to the show. Okay, welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate, and welcome Rick Hockey again to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Been a long time. Good to have a chat again.
It has been a while. So Rick is working in Port Hedland at Hedland First National, has won loads and loads of awards through First National, legend in real estate. And you've gone through lots of different markets and huge declines in Port Hedland, which we spoke about on our last podcast, and we'll touch on that a little bit. But what we're going to talk about today is a stable market. So I know in South Australia, we've got a lot of agents in South Australia, and they're starting to say, you know, just some of the things that are happening now in a stable market. And agents that are new into real estate don't really understand what to do, because particularly in South Australia, it's been a boom market. So now they're going, oh, what do I do? You know, I haven't got 5 buyers lined up and things like that. So we're going to talk about the 3 different types of markets. So first of all, what is the sign of an increasing market as an agent? How do you know that it's going up? What happens, and how do you do things differently?
Yeah, I guess it revolves a lot around, for us up here being a unique market in Port Hedland, that resources rich and that floats a little bit with the resources.
Yes.
So that does have a bit to do with it. Obviously, supply and demand. So in an increasing market, you'll see that there will be less properties out there to lease. There will be less properties to sell. So a tightening market means that, we've got a bit of competition out there. We're seeing multiple offers on properties, and we do see that people are fighting for them. And then we see, multiple offers pushes it over the asking price. Mm-hmm. And it continues to increase as we go along. So supply and demand, an increase in what we see in resources, it might be the iron ore price increasing and different projects coming on board that pushes our market up. So we see a little bit of frenzied buying out there from our buyers, and that's good for our sellers. Obviously, we're trying to get that as much as we can for ourselves, so we must make sure that all the marketing and everything and that does portray where the market is and what that supply and demand looks like.
And as an agent, you operate very different in that market to any other market, don't you? You've got, sort of multiple offers, as you say. So, things sell very quickly. It's very different to a declining market or a stable market, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. And it's great to be in that boom market, if we want to call it a boom. We're trying to get away from that, and that is sort of working. But, in a declining market, and as we know, Lisa, from late 2012 right through to 2017, we did nothing but decline, and we declined in massive amounts, up to 70 to 80%, as we talked about last time. We're having a bit of a chat, and no other market in Australia has seen declines like that. But we went through that, came out the other side, and I guess what you see is the opposite to that booming. So we had, low demand. We had lots of supply out there. Did the buyers dry up and disappear? No, they didn't. They were still there. However, it was vastly different. There wasn't multiple offers. You had to work the market. You had to bring the prices down to where the market was. The market was telling us where the prices should be. So we had to adjust everything that we do. But it still can be a very, very busy time for agents out there. Whether it be a booming or a declining market, you just have to change a bit the way you work it.
Yeah, that's right. So the first one's a seller's market. The second one is a buyer's market. So like you said, when there's a lot of stock, then buyers can go, well, no, you haven't got any other buyers on it. I'm going to offer X amount, which is a lot lower. And then, that pushes the price down too, doesn't it? The market then determines, no, I'm looking for bargains, or the sellers are desperate to sell and they need to get out. So they will adjust their prices down. So it's like you said, supply and demand. It's, if they've got to sell, they'll they'll sell at any price, as you went through yourself personally as well, didn't you? Well, not having to sell at any price, but the market price. Yeah.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And what we, had to do there is we had to have a look and say, right, what is our market? What's our strong market? So all of a sudden, in that declining market, banks, there was a lot of repossessions. There were people who were financially stressed. So our marketing and everything like that, we were hitting those people and trying to help them. Now, in doing that, we had to make sure that we had the right resources. So we're talking about financial people who could actually assist these people to say, structure something up and say, this is the best way to get out without losing everything. Now, some people did lose everything. It's only because they held on too long and it was too late for them. However, it was still come out of it as best you possibly can.
Yeah.
So when we did that, our marketing was targeted towards that people to say, if you need help, we can help. And that started the conversation. It helped getting listings in, but it also helped our sellers get out of the sticky situation that they were in as well. So it was important.
I love that you've got to adapt your marketing to the different, the different situations. And that's what a lot of agents wouldn't understand. It's sort of, you've got to have more empathy and all of that sort of thing for what the sellers are going through and help them a lot more, don't you?
Yeah, well, look, I knew firsthand because I was going through it. I had a pretty big property portfolio myself, and I was going through that, and I had to make changes myself very quickly and talk to different people to find out how to come out of it best. So I was passing that information on to my sellers to say, look, it's not all doom and gloom. You can come out of this, but you have to go a different way. You have to move quickly too. It's the ones that didn't move quickly, unfortunately, that came out. Some came out with nothing, but there was a lot of people out there that we helped that did come out, a lot better and saved their family home, as an example, and maybe one or two properties if they had a big portfolio.
Yeah, great. Okay, so what does it mean when the market is stable? What is that?
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting question, and having been through the biggest ups and the biggest downs, and now the stable market, it's quite comforting to be good. It's not, it's not in a declining or a booming, but you do have to play that out as well. A stable market can sometimes mean, hey, it's not on the way down; it stopped its trajectory up, and that's what it is for us. It was for 4 years, we had some really good increases in the property, but now it's leveled out. It means to see the early signs, and we try and look and 6 months ahead, no more than that because it's hard to predict after that. But what's going to happen to the market in 6 months? And we see it as being stable. So it means the rents are stabilising, the sale prices are stabilising. Are they coming back down? No, there might be some downward pressure there. But again, we revert back to supply and demand. That will determine whether the rentals come down. In our case, if rentals come down, sale prices come down and vice versa. So at the moment, I think it's quite a strong market because what we're doing, we're having a breather. Where we are at the moment, is there potential for future growth? Absolutely, there is, with green projects and stuff like that coming our way. So, as I say, we're heavily involved in the resources, but there's some pretty exciting stuff happening out there. But I love it. One, we are more diversified in Hedland now. It's not just iron ore, it's also gold, it's oil, it's gas, it's lithium. There's so much more out there. And green energy is something that hasn't hit us yet, but it's not far away. So that's good that we're having the breather. It's still everything, people can live in Port Hedland without it being blown out as it was in 2010 and 11.
And your market is so different because of all of that. Like, I don't think there's anywhere else in Australia that's got a market like yours that is so, the business side of things that can affect your market. Whether they pull out of the state and go somewhere else, or they do something like it's just going to affect everything, doesn't it? Or they come into there and set up their businesses in the manufacturing and all that sort of stuff. It just increases or decreases so much, doesn't it? So, okay. So how does buyer behavior differ with a stable market? So how are you communicating with your buyers and sellers that are different to the way that you did before?
Yeah, look, it's doing that prediction 6 monthly to help buyers and sellers. But buyers, sale agents have to change what they do as the different markets and the phases of those markets come around. But buyers also do as well, because when they get onto the internet and they have a look, they pick up off different real estate websites and that out there. Oh, yeah, the market has changed a bit out there and it's starting to stabilise. So they do get that, but then when they're talking to agents, it's important that we, give that information out of where the markets is. That hold on, the rental prices they've stopped moving up. They're actually stabilising where they are, which means that sale prices. So it is really important that we get that information out and educate people who are asking you. But a lot of the time, they're already halfway there from what they're reading reading on any sort of social media type stuff out there, but they need to get it on the ground. And once you tell them on the ground what's actually happening, it may not be completely exactly the same as social media, but they already know a bit about what's happening. And for buyers, it just means it's not so much of a rush to buy. They are a little bit more selective, and you have to make sure that when they come in, and they're trying to come $50,000 under what the asking price is, you're saying, well, hold on, comparatively, I have just sold 3 properties like that one at that higher price. May not be full asking, but it may not be far off it. So giving statistics, giving them knowledge of what's actually happening on the ground, and buyers generally do come around and they're not far off the mark.
Yeah. I mean, we're on the coalface, aren't we, real estate agents, so to speak, that we are there. I think we can interpret the market better than anyone, valuers and anybody else. I think, we're right there. And you've got such drastic, changes in your market that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because, it's sort of, you would see it so much clearer than anybody else, and you can see the signs coming. So you're saying, so in a stable market, you're more educating your buyers and your sellers as to where the market is. That's how you change your marketing as opposed to when it's in an up market or a down market.
Yeah, and look, I think, with the sellers and that, it's really important to, give out the stats, the information of where it is. And very importantly in our market, just say, look, we think that the rents have peaked at the moment. Now, it doesn't mean that they might fall down or come backwards. There may be some downward pressure there, but at the moment, supply and demand says no. It's going to sit where it is for a while, maybe another 6 months. After that, we can't predict it. But sellers are usually on to that as well. They do a little bit of homework as well. And at the moment, to say it's a stable market doesn't mean it's a falling market. It just means that it's stable. And for us, what's helped do that, just to have this little bit of a breather, is that we are diversifying, and that gives a lot of the sellers and buyers a lot of confidence that, all right, it's not a market that's just a one race market with iron ore. There's quite a bit more out there. Awesome. With the excitement of green energy projects that are in the pipeline or are happening right now.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so how do the agents that are going through, that have just been through a boom, say South Australia and Euro, whatever, when there's less interest from buyers, less urgency, how do you cope with that? How do you get the buyers to still be interested in the property when there's not, 2 buyers lined up to buy it as well? How do you still get them across the line?
Yeah, well, it's important that if you come in at a price as an example and you're not getting the hits, you're doing your home opens, you're marketing spot on, you're presenting the property nicely, there's only one thing that might be sitting too high, and that's the price. Now, a lot of agents don't like having this conversation, but you must go to the seller backed up with some statistics and information and say, look, we're not getting what we should do. We need to reduce the price. And sometimes $5,000 reduction or a $10,000 does not do it. Some sellers will say, well, I might say that the property we should list at $500,000. The seller might say, but I want to go at $550,000. okay, we'll do that. But if we don't get the activity, buyer activity, we should really look at this price. And a lot of the times when, sellers do try and push over the market, that's what we have to do. We have to have that conversation. We need to come back to where the market is. Now, if we leave it too long, the market may pull back a little bit more than where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what if you've got a buyer that's interested in a property, right? So for the agents that are used to having, multiple buyers, and you've only got the one buyer. So you've got an offer of 500,000 and you've only got the one buyer. How do you get them to proceed, when there's no urgency? They might say, well, actually, no, I'll pay for 480 or something. You know what I mean? Like, how do you get them across the line?
Yeah, well, look, at some stage, you just have to play the game as, all right, well, look, you can either buy this one or you don't. And I understand if you don't want to, and not feel desperate or appear to be desperate that you need to get this over the line. Once again, come back to statistics and say, well, look, 2 months ago, I put 14 properties under offer. Last month, I put 13 properties under offer. We do have plenty of buyers in these markets. And if you don't buy this one, look, there will be somebody else lined up to do it. But I understand if you want to hunt around for something else. I guess it's, negotiation is all about not showing any fear, making sure that you're out there. You are still working for the seller, and we are still selling properties, and that is the absolute truth. There's no shortage of buyers out there. Is it price sensitive? Absolutely it is. We have to get that right. But hold on, I sold 3 properties similar to this one at that similar price. So it will go. It's a matter of time. Whether it's you buying it or not, we will sell this property. But don't miss out on it because it's a really good property and it's got a good lease to it. It presents well and it's in a great area. Why shouldn't you buy it?
Exactly. And it's like, what, I might not have a buyer on it today, but tomorrow you could miss out on this. How are you going to feel if this property's gone tomorrow? You've looked for 6 months and then this is going to be gone because you're worried about $20,000, which, you can break it down to the ridiculous. How long are you going to stay in the house for and all that sort of thing? So I think, those things too. Okay. So what skills do you believe agents should have to work in a stable market? So obviously communication skills, following up, which they haven't had to do, some of them in a boom. So what else do you think are the skills that they really need to have?
Look, I thought about that question, Lisa, and just in general, in any type of market, no matter whether you're a rookie coming on board or you've been in the game for a long time and supposedly we're supposed to know it all, I go back to a couple of basics and it's all about work ethic. You'll find that the best agents around have a huge work ethic. They have an engine that's a V8 and they're up and going. Really important to have that. If you haven't got that, you're not going to make it, no matter how many other smarts you've got. If you haven't got that engine, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. If you're an agent and you haven't been like me, I only knew a booming market when we first started talking. Then we had the 78%, and I thought nobody can sell in this market. You can't. I'm losing my own portfolio. Everybody's crying on the end of the phone to me. I can't do it. I can't sell the property. Now, that's when I started thinking, how can I get help? And that it's really important to grab a mentor. I will say to anyone who's experienced or a rookie, if you're a rookie, grab a mentor straight up front and help guide you through because you don't know it all. And in different markets, this mentor can help you through those different markets. That's why he's a mentor, because he's been through all the markets. So I just highly recommend a couple of basic things. Hey, have a big engine, have that work ethic, and get a mentor, and you'll start flying.
Absolutely. And so what advice would you give to people just starting in real estate, apart from getting a mentor? What would be some of the things, it's their, say, first 30 days in real estate. What would you suggest they do?
A lot about listening, making sure that you talk to people around you, not necessarily in the same real estate agency. Yes, there's some really good advice and top stuff, but there's also a lot of good stuff out there that you can, ring up people and just have a chat and help you through. But, getting started is exciting. I guess it's just a matter, once again, of just learning and just try and absorb as much as you can from people who have been through it. Don't try and take too big a steps. It's always better to take smaller steps and learn things properly, and then increase your knowledge and increase your systems, how you go about getting out to sellers and buyers in a slow way. And there will come a time when you'll just, you'll be running the 100 meters in 10 seconds.
I agree. And some people come into real estate with the perception that it's going to be like selling sunsets and, like some of those TV shows. It's not really like that. It is hard work. It's not just sitting around having cocktails, at an agent's open house. That's not real estate here. It is hard work. It's, getting your CRM, it's getting your database up, it's prospecting. We're not a retail shop. People just don't walk in and buy things. We've got to sell ourselves first. We've got to sell ourselves for an appointment, sell ourselves for the listing. Then we've got to sell the property. So there's a couple of sales that have got to be made. So, definitely, as you said, get a mentor. I've got my real estate club and all that sort of thing, just get some sort of training, that, you've got some guidance and, just keep putting good stuff in your ears and great stuff will come out your mouth. That's what I always
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look, you just sort of nailed all those other things like marketing and that. There's some things like social media I'm not very good at. So I pay someone to do all of my social media. So what I'm not an expert in, I will pay other people to come on board at the right time. It might be very hard to do this in your first year, in your rookie year, because you're learning all of that. But as you progress, definitely anything that you're not really good at, well, get somebody in to help you, pay them, because you'll find it will pay you back 10 times over. So very important to do all those sorts of things and grow. I have 2 PAs at the moment, and that just helps you. If you're doing 2 or 3 properties per month, you get a PA and all of a sudden you're up around 8 or 7. You get another PA and you can find that you can be doing your 10 to 15 per month. But as I say, it's a progressive thing, but putting all those things that you said into place at the right time, super important.
Absolutely. And when you first start, you got to wear lots of hats. You can't come into real estate, and go, I'm going to pay somebody to do letterbox drops. No, do them yourself, or, do your own prospecting calls, because you're not making any money yet. You've got to sort of, I believe you've got to earn your stripes. You've got to sort of wear all those different hats, and then you understand more about the process. You're learning about real estate. You're talking to people. You're learning the area. I think there's no magic pill. You can't just pay somebody to do that when you first start. You can, because you're established, you've got your database, you know what you're doing. But when you first start, get out there and learn. That's learn by doing what you need to do. And then, you go door knocking, you find somebody, pair up with somebody else that you can, help list the property with them or something like that. It doesn't even have to be somebody at your agency or whatever, if you by yourself or whatever, team up with somebody else that that you can co-list the property while you're learning, and share the commission. So there's all different ways that you can do it entering into real estate. Yeah,
it was interesting. You say drinking cocktails and stuff like that, and sometimes you have a look at the social medias, and you do see these agents, they're out there and doing that, and it's good marketing, because that can be the life, once you get into. But to actually get it all running and that, originally I was banging my own star pickets in, putting my own signs up. I would go and clean my own signs at every house every now and then. I would be 7 o'clock at night. If there was no power onto a property, I would have my own torch out showing people through property 7 o'clock at night, because their shift work, that's all they allowed them. Look, there's a lot of hard work, and you cannot get away. It's not a glamour industry in the first year or 2 years. And that, talk about 5, 10 or 15 years, and maybe, yes, it gets a bit easier, but without that engine and work ethic, you'll never get there. It's important to have that. If you're prepared to do it, yes, there's some glamour at the end of it.
Real estate's an amazing career. There's no ceiling to what you can achieve, no ceiling to the amount of money you can achieve. You're learning every day. Real estate's the best profession there is, and people just have to work. Like I said, no magic pill. You just have to work hard and work smart. That's it.
Yeah, look, absolutely. There's, in any industry that you're in, you'll always find that really successful person go back to where they started, and they'll tell you they might have been sweeping the floors, or they
Yeah,
might have been doing all that sort of stuff. So important. So, my attitude was that if I'm banging the star pickets in and putting a sign up, is that somebody might walk up to me and say, I've got a property over the road. Would you mind having a look at it? And I picked some listings up by doing that. So, yes, back to grassroots, and it works.
absolutely. Thank you so much for your time again, Rick. I really appreciate it.
No, really good catching up, Lisa. Thanks very much. All the best.
We'll do it again soon. See ya. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have a question about real estate, then please join the group on Facebook, also called Let's Talk About Real Estate. For those of you who are interested in EXP, please join us at 10 a.m. Brisbane time every Wednesday morning for EXP Explained. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and see you next week.